Hari Om. Hello, my friends. The past is just a memory. The story is the past. We identify with the story, then the mind is the past. The past doesn't exist in any other way than as a memory. It's now, and only now, that we touch reality. Mind is always in the past, dwelling in the past, what happened. Even when we think about the future, it's a projection of the memory of the past. Whatever we're thinking about, on and on, it's dwelling in the past. Here, now, you're free. Here, now, you're new and fresh. Here, now, you are touching reality. This is timeless. Then what is that mind that we are struggling with, that creates troubles, that somehow keeps on preventing us from being naturally ourselves? There is not really such a thing as the mind. There is just that capacity to think, and there's nothing wrong. To form consciousness into reasonable thoughts. This is beautiful, a beautiful expression. How we can express that inner beauty with thoughts. It's a tool to be used where it's appropriate, and then we should put it aside, and there somehow something has gone wrong in this world, that instead of being a tool, that capacity to think, it has become just the top boss that goes on and on and on and on, helplessly, driven, turning round and round and round and thinking all the time. And with that thinking all the time, we are creating a reality, but that reality is actually always in the past. It's always a memory. It's a moment, it's already past. And the past is just a memory. Then what shall we do to get rid of that past and be in the present? We don't have to somehow knock out that memory. It's a storehouse of information that is very useful on a practical level. But instead of treating it as just a memory bank from where we can draw wherever it makes sense, we give it a life that it doesn't deserve. We send our vital energy into the past, into that memory, and give it a life that it doesn't deserve to have. It's there as a memory, but there we are emotionally, energetically hooked into it And that is what is training us. That is what is preventing us from simply being naturally now and expanding in that experience. We have to learn not to identify with the past in the same way, but just see it as a story. That's what it is. See what we can learn from it, draw the wisdom and the knowledge that we need at the present moment from that memory bank. But somehow, if we want to be free, we have to learn to detach emotionally from the past. It can be a glorious past, it can be a terrible past. In both ways, either we feel ashamed of what we did, or then we feel proud of what we did, or we feel outraged of what they did to me. And so we can go on and on. And the more we are thinking, the more solid this reality seems. But it's a fabrication. Learn to be aware what is happening in the mind. And then learn to redirect the attention to that which makes the thinking possible, to that which makes the experience possible, to that source out of which all the energy flows all the time. Here, now, is timeless. Here, now, we are touching that reality. The attention is touching reality here, now, in the timelessness of the now. If that is the base, if that is where we are rooted, then the story is not a problem. It's a story. It's a bit a special story, as we have the memory of playing the main character in that story. But still, it's a story. No need of being shamefaced about bad things that we have done. No need of being proud about the great things that we have done. And no need to hang on to grudges for what somebody else did. It doesn't bring anything. It just eats up our life force. We don't have to try to desperately forget the past. No, no. Let it be there as a memory, knowing it's a memory. What matters is now. What matters is whether we are really connecting with reality now. The past doesn't matter. Of course, the story has brought up certain tendencies hanging on to the past, but if we learn to be in the present, then we can see those tendencies easily and detach from them, relax from them. Now, Victor asked me a question about this mind. He faces a situation where on one hand, one part of him thinks, okay, I just continue, bear with it, and let it go on, roll on as it is. On the other hand, there is also that part that says, no, yeah, I have enough of it. Something has to change. And now he wonders, okay, there are two parts What are those two parts? Are they the mind? Well, it's not that there are different selves living in the body. The one who thinks like this, the one who thinks like that, the one who feels like this, the one who feels like that. No, no. Actually, in the mind, we can produce a number of, simultaneously, a number of different personalities that struggle with each other. These are aspects of the same story and our identification. Yes, the fact that there are two different aspects that struggle with each other, they are already pointing out, yes, it's the mind. I am whole. I am not contradictory. I am what I am. If we learn to see that, if we face a problem like this and not so bound to, I want to solve the problem now, but more, let me use it as an opportunity to become more self-aware. Look at what is happening in my mind. One aspect says like this, one aspect says like that, and there is a tension. Then let it go on, but consciously step a step back and see what it is doing, see how it is affecting the present experience, see what kind of tensions that are built up in the body energetically, and learn to relax. The two aspects are, of course, not two different fellows. They're aspects of that personality, and the personality, as we are familiar with, unfortunately, around the world, is usually full of contradictions. And then these contradictions, they fight with each other, and it's creating a lot of tensions. And if it's getting extreme, it creates a lot of suffering. In a situation where there is no clarity, should I do this or should I do the other? We can think about it logically, but this is very limited how far we can go. The pros and the cons, considering them, it's better that we put the main focus not on that level. Hey, you two. They are like the aspects of the mind. At each other. Hey, 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 hey. Hey, it's enough. Huh? Yeah. Learning not to desperately try to solve a problem on the level of the problem, but simply step a step back and be aware what these different aspects that are fighting with each other, that are quarreling about the same subject, what they are creating. In my experience, right now, see the tensions that arise out of such a situation, physically, energetically, emotionally, and learn to relax. And the more we are capable of relaxing, the more it's like the situations start to clarify all by themselves. The more we are really here now, connected, the more we are connected with that source of wisdom that is there, waiting to express itself. And the more we are connected with that, the more simply the answers to what to do in situations come up, bubble up. It need not necessarily be logical. Most of the time, it's not contradictory to logic, but it's prior to that awareness. And sometimes we are clear, okay, it goes this direction, but then out of habit, it is not always so easy to follow up with the action, because even if we decide to go in one direction, then the old habit comes and pushes it again on the other side. This is all the past. It's all the mind. It's all what we have learned to do. And then when we have learned to function in this way, the tendency is that we just continue to function in this way. But it's good that we see it. It's good that you see that there are different aspects and wonder what they are. Just observe them. Just observe what is happening when that tension comes, when that contradiction comes. I should do this, no, I should do that. I should be like this, no, I should be like that. And then learn to relax. And the more we are capable of relaxing in such a situation, the more it's clearing up by itself. And the awareness dawns. What is the right course to take? What is the right thing to do? But definitely such contradictions are always in the mind. There may be influences that wants to push us this side, that also is there, but then what is happening is our mental response to that. And we can go on and on trying to solve problems on the level of the mind. Sometimes it's a good solution, sometimes it's a bad solution, but it's much more important that we learn to step a step back and see the mind for what it is. It's just that flow of thinking built on energy, on the life force, on the prana. It goes on and on. And if you step back and stop being so interested on the mental level, then it has the tendency to calm down. And in that calming down, the thoughts are getting less. And when there are less thoughts, there arises more clarity how to deal with the situation. You, as you are not splitted in different parts. You are whole. You're holy. You're complete. It is just how we have learned to function. There's nothing wrong when a situation comes. Consider it from different angles. Look like this, look like that, but then we can let it go and the solution starts to emerge. We need not encourage that situation to go on and on and on, because it's eating up our life force for nothing. Okay, I'll leave that subject. And then I got, just before the satsang, a message from another friend. She had a lot of mishaps recently, one thing after another. And then she wonders, why is it like this? Is this my bad karma? In the last 2 years, so many things happened. What one could say were unlucky ways things were developing. People who were behaving in an unfavorable way, that the person, it's very hurt sometimes. And now she wonders, why is it like this? What does it mean anything? We can call it karma. But karma is not really an explanation. Karma is just a law of cause and effect. It's good to remember we have come into this time-space continuum in order to learn, in order to unfold, in order to grow out of certain things. And we can do that when everything is harmonious, but we can also do it when everything is disharmonious. Confrontations, they force us to go deeper. Either we are getting just swept away, undone by confrontations and feel a helpless victim, or we can learn to accept the confrontations. Okay, there is an additional difficulty. Remember, I came from Buddhist. I came to learn, even in such a situation, not to get totally absorbed, overwhelmed, and crushed by the situation, but that I learn that even then I bring the attention back to that silent part. And the more we are capable of doing so, the more we are actually fulfilling the purpose why we have come here. The more that power is increasing, is the increasing capacity of being rooted in that silent part. Being aware it's there, even if on the surface there is agitation, I have to be very active. There is action and reaction, but that the awareness is there. There is that aspect that is not affected by whatever is happening. The reasons why this happens, such a succession of mishaps again and again and again, there are many reasons. You cannot say it's because of this and because of that. But the present moment can appear as it appears. It, it's like influences come from all the sides coming together, and in this moment they somehow produce the situation that we are experiencing. So looking for reasons is futile. Of course, if there is something comes up and we become aware, oh, just there, I really made a mistake there just recently, and this is a new tool for them, then we can accept, okay, there is a lesson to learn. Hey, Jacob, don't be so noisy. But most of the time, it's futile to try to figure out why is it like this. Just accept, okay, here I have somehow a job to do. Again, something happens. Again, there is some aggression coming. Something destructive is there. And my job is not to get crushed because of it. My job is to, in spite of all that, to be capable of at least attempting to bring the attention home to that one silent, simple existence that is prior to all this, that is aware of what is happening, but then at the same time not affected by it. If we then in the mind resist against the fact that things are the way they are, then they become worse. Of course, it's natural. The first reaction to a bad situation is, oh no. But then we can't let that go, but not hook into that and stay with that and resist. For the situation is still as it is, even if we resist. And that resistance makes us suffer. Accepting the situation is not at all a weakness. Accepting the situation is a strength that we don't waste energy unnecessarily resisting what happens, what has happened, what may happen. And then, of course, the tendency is also in the mind that thinking, okay, I'm unlucky and so many things has happened, and then be afraid of the future because it's going to continue like this and one mishap after the others, and I can't anymore. That in itself is one cause to invite difficulties. We can be here now. The memory comes of what has happened, the tensions, the emotions come. We learn to see them, we learn to observe them, we learn to relax and not justify them and keep them alive. Even if we are right, even if they are wrong, there's no point in keeping that, holding on to that. I'm right, they are wrong. Okay, that situation is as it is. It's the past, and I need not emotionally keep it alive unnecessarily. It's just a memory. Now, what has happened just recently, then it has happened. We have to somehow shake us out of the immediate after effect that sometimes can be traumatic, but then not keep on lamenting the fact that it is as it is, as it has happened. We can lament as much as we want, it's still like that. But the more we lament, the more we are slipping into that victim role, and that is where everything becomes totally unbearable. When we face difficulties, we can also somehow accept it. Okay, then something in me thinks, is confident that I'm strong enough to deal with it, to face such circumstances. So let me face them without fear, without regret. Do what feels needs to be done, but always remember this is temporary. This is what I came for, to learn in those situations, not to lament them, but to learn to deal with them in such a way that awareness is steadily increasing, that awareness that there is an aspect that is not effective no matter what is happening. It needs a reminder from ourselves again and again. That does not in any way mean that we should let anyone come and walk down on us and create troubles. Sometimes it's totally justified that we say no, so far and no further. But we need not keep it in the mind, why. It shouldn't be like this, resisting against the fact, okay, no matter where it's coming from, no matter what's the reason. Most probably there is not one reason, but so many causes that cause what is happening right now. So we cannot pick out one and say it's because of this. We need not go in search for it. All right, this is happening. Let's face it with strength. And the more we are capable of doing so, the more that confidence is increasing. And as that confidence is increasing, that fear of possible future difficulties is also disappearing. There may be periods again in the life where everything flows quite nicely and harmoniously. We cannot create that, but we can stop influencing it in such a way that it is doing the contrary. The more we are capable to be in that conscious connection with that aspect that is not affected now in easy situations and in difficult situations. The more that capacity is increasing, the more we are sending something out into that current of events, into this times, the flow of this time space that is bringing a beneficial influence that rather the external situations may turn more favorable. But there may be so many other causes on the way already that our present input may tip the scale, but sometimes it may not tip the scale. So it's not only for our present experience, but even for the possible future, that it's the most useful way of dealing with difficulties is basically accept, okay, they are here, so I deal with them. If I can, I improve the situation. If I can't, then I accept this is as it is. With that attitude, we're bringing strength and we are radiating something and bringing an input in the flow of events that is very creative and beneficial. We are much stronger than we think. We have learned to believe in our small little personality in such a way that we are handicapping ourselves. There is a tremendous strength behind that. And we can learn to really tap into that resource. And sometimes unfavorable events, they help us to go deeper. They are also there as pointers. Look, don't get lost on that level, but look what you can do in the intensity of the moment if you turn the attention back to yourself, to your essence. Anyhow, my friend, I wish you all well and a lot of strength. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. So I'm inviting you, my friends. Is there anyone who would like to come in? Oh, hello, Floyd.
Hi, man.
Hi.
Yes. Yeah, I wanted to ask you something since maybe 2, 3 days. There is a sort of tendency, and maybe it's connected with what you just said about, seeing and relaxing into that. But because I've also had this kind of period where, I don't know, as per astrology, it is Saturn and things like that, but where you see, continuous misfortunes, things not going right, things falling apart, and that kind of energy for some time. Not all the time, but yeah, for certain periods. And then somehow there is, like, let's say with travel, let's say I'm leaving home, leaving my base location. So there's always like a certain level of anxiety.
Mm.
Maybe not during the actual travel, but more before
Yeah.
that, there's a certain kind of anxiety, and there is a sort of ungroundedness, ungrounded feeling that, how will this go? And also the need to sort of prepare for situations and stuff like that, which is okay. The preparation seems okay, but then, uh, but maybe it is not so much if I'm traveling with someone, if there are two people, like I'm going with a friend or something like that, maybe it's not as much. And I know people who only travel with other people, they
Yeah.
never travel alone.
Yeah.
But most of the time it is traveling alone, and there is a certain ungroundedness or an anxiety. And of course, during the travel, if there are some certain situations which are kind of obstacles or delays or whatever, in that moment one deals with it. But only in hindsight or in the future sense, you sort of feel a little bit ungrounded about things as you plan to travel and things like that. So, is it normal, or is there something which can be worked out to not get? Well, I'm not saying it's not like a panic attack or something, but there's a sense of, like ungroundedness. Of course,
Mm.
that sense is not there when I'm coming back from where I go to. When I'm coming back home, I don't think it's not much there. But when you're going, like,
Mm.
so I don't know, maybe partially, maybe it's because I'm traveling in India where things are kind of uncertain all the time. But is there, what would be the, like, a spiritual perspective to this?
Mm. You ask me whether this is this normal? I would say it's habitual. It's the usual what is happening to people. The usual, unfortunately, is not the natural normal.
Hmm.
Of course,
So what is natural?
if you feel somehow secure in your base and then going
Hmm.
out of it, there is always that anxiety of the unknown. What is waiting for me?
Hmm.
And somehow you want to go somewhere, otherwise you wouldn't go. But then the aspect of the me, cozy personality who doesn't really want to get confrontations, gets anxious about it.
Hmm.
It's because of the identification that me, I, this person, somehow, okay, something pushes me to go somewhere, but on the other hand, ooh, I'm scared. Scared leaving my comfort zone is a very popular expression now. Leaving the comfort zone, leaving that which is familiar. But it's just that identification with that me, with the past, with the personality, and we can learn when that anxiety comes. Do the same as I'm usually saying. Just let it come, but watch it. Don't try to talk yourself out of it. You let it happen, you let it come, you watch it, you see how it is affecting, how really it is affecting your experience right now, what it is doing to you physically and energetically, and learn to relax And then if we are not feeding it with the mind turning around of all the things that maybe could go wrong on the way or whatever, then uh, that anxiety may come, but then it may go. If we are alert, then the old habit still will come back, but then gradually, if we are keeping doing it like this, then it's getting easier and easier. Just when the anxiety comes, oh, I see you, old habit, see what you are doing, relax, and it disappears.
Yeah. So when you say see it means, is it like meditating on it, or is it like just becoming
Just
aware of it? How do
being
you see
aware
it?
of it. We are a bit aware of it, but not so fully. But then accept, okay, instead of fighting with it, then you need not necessarily sit down with crossed legs and closed eyes. You can uh, uh, accept it anywhere, wherever you are, whether even when you are walking somewhere, that but you have that you take enough space that you can put your attention, and instead of trying to block it, let it come. Okay, it's not a pleasant feeling, but it's just a feeling. Anxiety, being restless, being a bit afraid of something. But then you let it come and see what it is really doing to its full extent in the body, energetically. And then you start to relax, and then emotionally you also relax, and intellectually you are also relaxing.
Yeah. And does it like, but does this kind of anxiety of sort, does it drive people to do things? Because sometimes, like, if you're not anxious, you say, okay, I'll only lose 500 rupees
Hmm.
uh, if I don't travel this day. I don't want to go. So that kind of attitude, like sometimes I've had it that when I have to travel, but then I feel that okay, it's too much, so then I don't bother about it. But not all the time, but few times. So, like, is the anxiety, does it have any function like pushing one towards something or making you sort of work towards something, or what, or is it futile to look at it that way?
Of course, sometimes it may push you into actions, but whether those actions are then very beneficial is questionable. Sometimes maybe it's better not to be uh, pushed into actions, but rather into conscious observation. That doesn't mean that I'm not saying everybody should now become inactive and sit in their room or in a cave and do nothing else. But anxiety, anxiety is not a, an emotion that is supporting creativity. Even if you have a creative burst, but when there comes anxiety into it, whether you are successful or not, then it's rather handicapping.
Mm,
But that doesn't mean we should now try to desperately block it. When it comes, you can accept it. Okay, it's just an emotion. It's something that is happening, and if I can identify with the whole situation, identify with it, and then it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, or you just treat it for what it is. Okay, it's an old habit to react like this. It's an emotion. Accept the emotion that is there. Invite it even. Okay, come, show, show what you can, show what you can do.
mhm,
But then it loses its sting. It loses, then one stops being afraid of it. And then you just learn to deal with such old habitual disturbances by looking at them, by accepting them, by relaxing and let them go.
Hmm. Yeah. But is this Advaitic understanding also helpful that see that all of this which is getting anxious is not you, like it's not me, like it's not
Yes,
real, that kind
pe-
of thing. So, is it the same?
people talk like this. If they talk like this to themselves in order to help to detach, then that can be useful. But if they talk like this to the others, then they simply try to put a facet, a mask, hiding behind some Advaitic theories, hiding that there are emotions going on. And then what's the point in saying, it's not real, it's not there, it's real momentarily as an experience. So we can also deal with it. We can convince ourselves if somebody is on that Advaitic approach. It's nothing wrong that we talk like this to ourselves. Okay, it's not real, it's not worth the trouble to get so worked up. That may help us to relax, but that is still what is needed. That if we hold on to the anxiety, if we hold on to troubles, if we hold on to suffering, and then just spouting Advaitic stuff, what's the point? It's just trying to hide, not to show what is really going on, neither to yourself nor to others. Somehow or other, whether you come from an Advaitic standpoint or from any other standpoint, you have to learn to see, accept this is going on. It's not an ultimate reality, but it's a momentary reality of an experience. And then to deny that is also simply trying to avoid to deal with it. It's better to accept, okay, also for Vedantins, also for Advaitins, to accept, okay, as essentially you are ever free. Nothing can happen to that. But your experience is still as it is. And to deny the fact and try to just push it away is simply pushing it in the subconscious, and it will create trouble from there. If we want to be free, if we want to find peace, if we want to go beyond those things, it's better to confront them, to accept their reality, their momentary reality, to the point that it's there as an influence. And if I'm not dealing with it, it will keep on creating troubles and prevent me from being my natural self.
So when we say it's not you or it's not me, that or I let it play out. So like, if you let it play out again, it's more like observation where you're just like seeing it,
Yes,
do its thing.
yes.
And in bhakti approach, we tend to pray, that okay, fine, my Ishta Devta will take care of it, or something
Mm.
like that. My master will take care of it. So that is again more like dropping it. But yeah, I understood that. As you said, if it's just words, then it has no meaning.
If I mean, this may very much help a devotee praying to
Mm.
God, praying to the Master. Look in what situation I'm again. Look how I'm struggling. Please help me. But that's just another way to go about it, to see what's really going on and to learn to let it go. It comes still to the same, whether you come from the Advaitic standpoint or from a devotional standpoint. At the end, what is asked from each one, because nobody else is going to do it for us, that we see where we are creating trouble sources and learn to let them go, learn to free ourselves from that.
Yeah, thanks, John.
You're welcome. Hari Om. Hari Om. Having faith in God, having that relationship with a real master, not a fake master, is a great help. But nobody else is going to do the job. Whether we have convictions of Advaita or of Dvaita or of Vishishtadvaita or whatever, whatever spiritual theories we believe, if they help us to become more conscious, then they are good. Doesn't matter which one it is. If they help us to be alert, to become aware what's going on. But then what needs to be done is to detach, to let go, to relax. And nobody else is going to do that. We can get a lot of inspiration. We can get a lot of support that makes it easier. But finally, it comes to each and everyone. That's the game of this manifestation. That each and anyone decides to desperately go on holding to problems or let them go, consciously or unconsciously. And then the job sometimes is that even if we consciously decide to let things go, they don't go so easily out of old habit. But if we persist with patience, even heavy stuff we can overcome, and not by fighting it, not by struggling with it, but by seeing it's there, by observing what it is doing, and by learning to let go, learning to relax. Is there anybody else who would like to come in? You're welcome to do so.
Hi, Werner.
Hello. Ah, hello, Ravi.
I've been in and out of this session, so I've missed the bits and pieces what you talked about. But my question is, yeah, sometimes like where I get to those points where I'm in the habit, where whether it's overthinking or whatever it is, it's my pattern, and there's a level of consciousness that I'm in it, and so I guess consequently there's a level of choice as well. And you talked about how it's good to kind of just, I think you were saying like disidentify from the thought, and disidentify from what you're thinking, so the story, and put your attention on the body or feel the emotion and then relax. Is there any value, and I think I've asked you something like this similar in the past a long time ago, but is there any value in kind of, I mean, I just feel like in my case, probably am quite familiar with a lot of my patterns, and there's probably about five, or probably millions, but there's probably about five very root ones which take me in very strong directions. And it's often a sense of, it'll give me a sense of security, but it doesn't, you know. Is there any point in kind of going, oh, this, contemplating in that moment, well, this pattern is going to take me down this, if I keep going down this direction, or this is my particular, this is this pattern, like labeling it and saying, you know, it's not going to help? Or is that just working, not doing a huge amount because you're still working on the level of the mind, and the best thing is just come back to the tension, feeling what's happening in the body?
No, it's nothing wrong with naming them. You don't have to do it, but if you name them and at the moment when it's happening, that may help you to disconnect from it, to detach from it. Then it's like, oh, I see you, old fellow, I know you. And like that, you are already not more like a helpless victim. So if you feel like doing so, you can very well do so. It can be very helpful. You don't have to. It's not something that one must, but sometimes it for depends our mental makeup also, but sometimes it may be very helpful to just name the thing that you are dealing with, that you are confronting. And in that naming it already, you're stepping a step back and see it as a experience, an object of experience, instead of thinking, I am this, I'm doing this, I, mine.
And your other way, the other way that you mentioned, just putting your attention on the body or feeling what's happening in your body, is that to kind of disidentify from the thoughts and just be present with what's happening in the body and then relaxing?
Right. Because we have the tendency when there is a problem to go in overdrive with our mind, desperately trying to solve it and turning frantically around a subject. And then a simple way to redirect the attention is to, instead of encouraging that mental activity, just look what it is doing to your body energetically. Another way would be to inquire, who is thinking like this? Who is doing this? Now, this specific pure self-inquiry is not so easy to do. And in this particular period, I find it's much easier and it does the same job. Just redirect the attention to what is going on in the body. Instead of encouraging whatever stuff that is going around in the mind like mad, redirect it, and then the mental activity is reducing gradually all by itself. If we don't nourish it, if we don't feed it, if we don't get interested in that mental stuff, but just redirect the attention to something else, and then it's calming down. And if it's calming down, the issue we are facing that brought it about suddenly is not more such a huge elephant as it has appeared to be.
And it's one of the reasons we put our attention on the body also. Is there an extra benefit of the awareness of why would I want to hold this tension in my body?
Well, if we are not aware of it, then we are not aware that that we are doing it. People are doing that all the time. When there is a problem, there are immediately so many tensions in the body, and if we start to work from that angle, then we can let that go, and then suddenly the life force is flowing again much more freely, and then suddenly it becomes much easier to deal with whatever has brought about those tensions. But it's not that some people create those tensions and some people don't. But as soon as there is problems, the tendency is there getting tense all over.
And also, I find that like tuning into sensations, like when I'm in nature, I'm a lot calmer. And when I came back to Sydney, I was like, um, hmm, just being aware of sensations, whether it's the sensation of the warmth of the sun or
Mm.
of the breath going through the body, or this is in a way, this is kind of still using the sensations flowing through the body, but as a doorway into something else, and so I guess that's also just another way of connecting. Is that right?
Right, perfectly all right. We don't have to get obsessed with the body. We don't have to get obsessed about all these things, but the body sensation is happening now. It's not something we think about in the past, expecting the future. The breath is happening now. And in that split second of the now, within this story, there you're connecting with the timeless present. So it's definitely, you can call it, as you just said, a doorway to come back to reality. Not because I'm not saying be aware of the body to get more and more obsessed with the body. The body is just a beautiful instrument that is there all the time. And if we bring the attention to the sensations or the breath, if we bring the attention to the body and then learn to relax, it's like definitely a very easy access to that which is prior to all that.
And that is also the same as kind of enjoying the moment. You're enjoying what's happening in the moment, whether it's the sun or whatever.
Right.
That's being in the present. Thank you, Werner.
You're welcome. Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hurry on.
Is there anybody else who would like to come? Oh, there is Leela. Hello, Leela.
Yeah. Hi. Yeah, everything today somehow is connected to what I want to ask. It's about me and the other, or the other and me. And I can say it very simple. Is there the other? Or, I mean, of course, there is a person there, there is somebody there, but I think, or maybe I have been feeling actually, experiencing that I put on them a story. Is it my story or is it a story? I don't know, but why do I say my story or story that comes from some places? Also because I told you last week I've had this very serious and difficult situation, and it really affects my whole being, my psyche and everything, and also stress and sorrow, sadness, pain. But things are working. I'm not stuck with it. So I wonder about this dialogue between me and the other. Is there a me? Is there the other? Who is doing the dialogue really? Where is it happening? Is there yeah.
Yeah.
I think you understand what I'm asking.
Right. It's happening in the same level of reality of manifestation like that you are familiar with.
But
There
what?
is, you are familiar with a certain level of manifestation that comes, that you are experiencing, that happens day after day. And then, of course, the more we are not simply seeing what we are doing in that reality as a role that we are playing, but the more we are identifying, the more we will indeed, as you said, we will put also a story on the others and make it for them also more difficult to be clear. And the more you are detaching and be aware, okay, you play a role, it's a theater, it's not as real as it appears, then the less you will put a strange thing on other players in this theater. Who is the me and the other? As long as we think we are this person, then of course the other is another person and there is a total separation between the two. When you become aware that prior to this person, you are there, a being, pure, even now never affected by this personality, then you become aware that the other person is also not that person. There is also that pure being behind, and then you become aware there is no separation. Essentially the same, and yet there is a being expressing that essence in one way, that is that being expressing that same essence as Leela and her story, but actually there is no separation.
There is no separation between me and the other.
Right.
What I think is me and what I experience as me and as the other. This is what you're saying.
Yes. There is another, in a certain way of talking, relatively, it's you and the other. As long as you are identifying with that me personality, then it's of course you feel separate, and then that's one person, the other person. The less you identify, the more your attention sinks back into your true being, and then you can appreciate that there are many beings, but there is no separation between those beings. It's all one, and yet it's many at the same time.
Yeah, so what I've been feeling is, I would say, like, I would use the word aspiration, or maybe intention is maybe better. What I've been feeling is that my intention and aspiration is to notice or to attend or notice maybe the positive, the goodness that is there altogether.
Mm.
Because in a way, when it's all, when there is no separation, then it's like this high good of all involved, I would say. Um, yeah. Is it understood what I just said now?
Yes, I think so. Did you want to add something more?
I think maybe I shouldn't. I think maybe I shouldn't because it's I'm going through a process now, also due to the changes here in Israel, and I mean somehow the war is over, like somehow, and yeah, I know, but so yeah, some terrible things that are happening, but also part of me can see maybe a better future.
Mm.
Not because I'm making an effort, just because I feel we can't go on like that. So maybe there must be a change. But on a personal level, I feel But this is how I now, I don't make a big effort to notice the good in people rather than noticing the bad in people. The good altogether somehow. It's not that I'm so happy. I have very difficult moments nowadays. Of specifically pain, but still together with that there is a change, shift. Yeah, as I described before. Yeah.
Yes. Basically, the question is it okay to open up and aspire for the good, for the goodness?
To open up is the first question, and then
Yeah.
aspire.
Yeah.
To open up and to let go is, it's no more in my hands now. It's happening.
Yes.
But still, maybe I can make an effort to close back because in a way, maybe I'm more protected. And then it's the other part, which we have mentioned.
After all, what we are calling good is that which is there natural. And
Yeah.
everything that is disturbing that natural harmony that is there, we call bad. We call evil, destructive. So of course, it's totally okay to open up to that goodness, because that naturalness is there. It's not somehow an emotional imagination, but simply the pure expressions of that essence. If it is not disturbed, will invariably be harmonious.
Mm.
And then there comes the aspect into it that disturb that natural harmony. So goodness is not something moral, it's something natural. And totally okay to open up to that. And you can also put an intent into the current that may help that somehow things are turning more into that direction. Nothing wrong doing that. It's not that you have to think, oh, it's now sort of my duty to put as much of an intention there, an aspiration there. But if that comes naturally, spontaneously, then by all means, there's nothing wrong with. There are so many negative, destructive intentions in the space. So we are very well allowed to put also positive and creative intentions into it, to neutralize it.
Yeah.
That
So in a way, it's
people say you are beyond good and bad. Reality is beyond good and bad. But as long as we are somehow struggling with this relative reality, then everything that we call good is that which makes us more aware that we are prior to all that. Everything that we call good helps us to connect, to become more aware that there is no separation, that is just exactly not the me and the other that are separate with a wall in between of something very something very strange, but that we are expressions of that same essence. Everything that we call good is cheered us to help from that state where we are struggling with good and bad and difficulties, that helps us to let go easier, but prevents us from being back in that natural state. So it's perfectly all right to open up and to be with the good aspect, even if people tell you, but what you are is neither good nor bad.
but what you are, what?
Is neither good or bad. Even if people tell you you are prior to that, you are not good or bad.
Okay.
And then
Yeah.
there can come in the head the argument. So then if I'm holding on to the good, then I'm preventing myself from going to that which is prior. But it's
Yeah,
not,
yeah.
it's not true. It's more like the more you are opening up to that goodness, the more it's easy, the more easy it becomes to see those things that prevent us, those things that actually we call bad, because they create more of a sense of separation, more of a sense of unnaturalness. It's through the good that you go beyond good and bad.
Yeah. Yeah. I listen to you and I just think about what has happened with my, I think I mentioned it, it was my sister. And I think that so many of the things, of the events that we consider bad are not really bad. It's like everyday events that we overreact to. But about this specific story, I feel it's somehow very serious. And I put an end to it. I mean, I said, I wrote something that, yeah, I won't go into the details, but for myself, I put an end to it.
Yeah, yeah.
So what I just want to, what I'm just saying is that, again, just repeat it, that so many events that we tend to deal with and to dwell about and blah, 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 they're really, she said, he said, they gave me, they didn't give me, blah, blah, all that is easy stuff. Also after the war, I feel it, of course, the pain and yeah. So it's a kind of relief, but I have to get used to it. To this new experience. It's a new experience for me.
You do whatever you feel is helping you to let go.
Yeah.
And sometimes certain measures may be needed, maybe for some time, and then they may not be needed. But if it's needed at the same for the present time, and it helps you to let go, to be more relaxed, to connect with life, with the essence better, then they are totally justified.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Hariyo.
Okay.
Hariyo.
Yeah.
Hariyo. There's a little more time. If there is anyone who would like to come, we can do so. Okay. Then let's dwell just a moment about the good and the bad. In Advaita, in all the other teachings also, you hear in many teachings, you're prior to that. Good and bad, it's duality. It's the pairs of opposite. And yes, of course, we are beyond that, beyond the opposite. But there is that oneness is expressing itself. And as soon as there is expression, there is a polarity. And as long as that polarity is in harmony, as it is thought to be, then this is perfectly fine, a beautiful expression of that oneness, of that divinity. And then there starts to come into it that sense of being separate from the oneness, and there things start to really become difficult. There comes the suffering, there comes the pain. when that sense of separation of that which is, of our essence, becomes stronger, there the sense of being one disappears. The sense of being connected disappears. And along with that disappearance of that awareness of being connected comes all the pain of the me, little me personality who suddenly finds himself, herself at war with a whole manifestation, somehow trying to survive, somehow trying to find the way. And then comes the religion in and gives us all kinds of rules, how to be good and how not to be bad. And it becomes a moral thing, and then there comes a bit the funny reaction there that one doesn't want to be morally pushed around. And there comes the spiritual teacher who says, you are prior to that, so don't go into good and bad. And that finally is a mistake. It's not a moral thing. It's just everything that is helping us to come back to our natural state is what we spontaneously will call good. And everything that is creating more of an obstacle, more of a sense of separation, which invariably creates sooner or later more pain, more suffering, it's what we are calling bad. So, in spite of it being true that the essence is prior to pairs of opposite, it's not good or bad, it's just not possible to put it in this kind of human categories. There, even if this is so, there's absolutely no reason not to open up to goodness, for whatever we call goodness is the way home to that awareness of being one. And whatever is creating more separation is what is bad, because it creates more suffering. It creates more apparent distance that some beings then make between love, between consciousness, between energy, between what they are and themselves, what they are experiencing. And the more that distance is, the more that separation is there, the more it's painful for them, and it's creating suffering all around. And if there are more beings like this, so many destructive forces come up and create troubles on this level, on subtler levels. Turning towards goodness is not a moral choice. It's a choice to come back home to being natural. The essence cannot be named, not even good. It's neither good nor bad, but it's that which helps the consciousness that feels separate to join, to come back home, is what we usually call good. And that which is creating more separation is what we are calling bad. Simple as that. So, by all means, let us open up to that goodness that helps us to come back home to our natural state where we belong, with that which is our birthright. I wish you all well. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om.